Every night, your body activates a fat-burning program you never asked for. It doesn't wait for permission, motivation, or a good workout beforehand. It just starts, quietly, the moment you fall asleep. Not a metaphor, not a wellness trend, an actual biological mechanism, designed specifically to pull stored fat from your belly and organs. It converts that fat into usable fuel while you rest. No effort required from you, no tracking, no timers. Except you're accidentally shutting it down almost every single night. 7 ordinary habits are quietly sabotaging this exact process right now. Most people don't even suspect these habits are doing damage. They feel small, forgettable, completely unrelated to fat loss. Stick around, because thing number 2 surprises almost everyone who hears it. It feels responsible, moderate, even healthy in the moment. It's actually blocking nearly 3/4 of your nightly fat burning. Before we get there, you need to understand why nighttime matters. 3 separate biological events can only happen while you sleep deeply. Growth hormone floods your system during the deepest stage of sleep. Roughly 70% of your daily output happens in that window. This hormone specifically targets visceral fat, the dangerous kind around organs. It breaks it down and converts it into usable energy. Meanwhile, cortisol drops to its lowest point of the entire day. That fat storage signal goes nearly silent for several precious hours. At the same time, insulin falls to its daily minimum too. Fat cells respond by opening wide and releasing stored fatty acids. 3 hormones, 3 separate systems, all working together simultaneously, for hours without a single conscious decision from you. Researchers publishing in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology confirmed this pattern. When insulin and cortisol stay low while growth hormone peaks, something happens. Overnight fat oxidation rises higher than any measured waking metabolic state. This is the single most powerful fat-burning window your body owns, and 7 common habits are interrupting it almost every night. Let's start with the most widespread offender of them all. Thing number 1 is eating dinner far too late in the evening. You eat around 8 or 9, then sleep 2 hours later. That gap feels generous, reasonable, even disciplined compared to snacking all night. But here's what your body is actually experiencing behind the scenes. After any meal, insulin rises sharply to clear glucose from your bloodstream. That elevation takes 2 to 3 full hours to fully subside. Growth hormone cannot release while insulin remains above a certain threshold. So when you sleep only 2 hours after eating, insulin stays elevated. The entire fat-burning window simply never gets the chance to open. You spend 8 hours lying still, technically resting, technically asleep, yet your body burns almost no stored fat during that time. 0 progress, purely because dinner arrived too close to bedtime. A study in Endocrine Reviews linked late eating directly to this outcome. Elevated insulin at sleep onset consistently suppressed nighttime growth hormone secretion. The fix here is refreshingly simple once you understand the mechanism. Leave 3 full hours between your last bite and your bedtime. If you sleep at 11, finish dinner by 8 at the latest. That gap alone lets insulin fall low enough to unlock growth hormone. Now here's the habit most people will defend without even thinking twice. Thing number 2 is drinking alcohol sometime during the evening hours. 1 glass of wine, maybe 2, feels completely harmless and deserved. You've had a long day, you've earned a little something, right? Here's what that glass is actually doing to your metabolism overnight. Your liver treats alcohol as an urgent toxic substance requiring immediate attention.
While clearing it, your liver pauses nearly every other metabolic process. That includes fat metabolism, which simply stops until the alcohol clears. Every hour spent processing alcohol is an hour without fat burning. There's a second mechanism running in parallel, making things even worse. Alcohol directly suppresses growth hormone secretion during your sleep cycle. Not slightly reduces it, actively suppresses the release itself. Research published in Alcoholism Clinical and Experimental Research measured the damage precisely. Evening alcohol consumption suppressed overnight fat oxidation by up to 73%. Read that number again because it deserves a second look. 3/4 of your nightly fat-burning capacity gone from one drink. If you choose to drink, finish at least 3 hours before sleeping. Skip alcohol entirely on most nights, and that window reopens fully. Now for a habit that feels harmless because everyone else does it too. Thing number 3 is regularly sleeping fewer than 7 hours nightly. You function fine on 6 hours. You simply adapted to it. But adaptation doesn't mean your body stopped paying the price quietly. Growth hormone releases in distinct pulses throughout your entire sleep cycle. The largest pulse always occurs during your very first deep sleep stage. Every hour of sleep you cut eliminates another one of those pulses. 6 hours of sleep likely cost you 1 or 2 entire pulses. Less growth hormone released means less overnight fat gets burned. There's a second cost layered directly on top of the first one. Sleep deprivation raises ghrelin, the hormone responsible for feeling hungry. You wake up hungrier, craving denser, higher-calorie foods than usual. You eat more, creating a surplus that cancels out overnight progress. You're simultaneously burning less fat and storing more within one day. Researchers at the University of Chicago quantified this effect precisely. People sleeping 5.5 hours lost 55% less fat. Same calorie deficit, same diet, dramatically different results, purely from sleep. The fix requires consistency, not just occasional effort on weekends. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single night. Lost sleep and its metabolic cost cannot simply be made up later. Now here's a habit that resets your progress at the worst moment. Thing number 4 is eating dessert or snacking after dinner ends. You finish your meal feeling satisfied, insulin already beginning to decline. Then something small arrives, ice cream, chocolate, a quick covered snack. It feels insignificant, barely worth mentioning compared to the meal itself. Here's the specific damage that small addition actually causes internally. Insulin, which was falling toward the threshold growth hormone needs, spikes again. The entire countdown resets, requiring another 2 to 3 hours to fall. Eat dinner at 7 and dessert at 8:30 and watch what happens. Your growth hormone window might not open until well past midnight. Hours of overnight fat burning lost entirely to one small snack. A study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology measured this precisely too. A high glycemic dessert delayed insulin's return to baseline by 3.2 hours. More than 3 hours of fat burning erased by dessert alone. The fix isn't necessarily avoiding sweets, but rather timing them differently. Keep dinner as your final meal, sticking to water or plain tea. If you crave something sweet, eat it during the meal itself instead. That single repositioning changes your entire overnight hormonal outcome dramatically. Now let's talk about a habit tied to a completely different hormone. Thing number 5 is using screens right before attempting to sleep. Phone in bed, television playing, laptop open until your eyes finally close. It feels like unwinding, but biologically nothing about it is relaxing.
Your retina contains photoreceptors specifically tuned to detect blue wavelength light. When your brain reads that light, it interprets the signal as daylight. Daylight signals suppress melatonin production almost immediately and consistently. Melatonin isn't just a sleep trigger, it coordinates the entire overnight cascade. Delay melatonin and you delay growth hormone release right along with it. Your fat-burning program starts later and simply runs for fewer hours. There's also a second mechanism working against you at the same time. Stimulating content, news, arguments, drama, keeps cortisol elevated well into the night. That activates your threat detection system precisely when it should be quiet. Elevated cortisol at bedtime directly suppresses growth hormone release once again. 2 separate mechanisms, one shared habit, both blocking the same window. Research published in PNAS found blue light delayed melatonin by 1.5 hours. Slow wave sleep, the deep stage fat burning depends on, dropped significantly. The fix is straightforward, though not always easy to actually follow. Turn screens off a full 60 minutes before your intended bedtime. Replace that time with reading, stretching, or simply quiet conversation instead. Now, for a habit hiding in something as basic as room temperature. Thing number 6 is sleeping in a bedroom that's simply too warm. Comfortable, cozy, exactly the way you've always preferred it to feel. Here's the physiological problem hiding inside that comfortable warmth. Your core body temperature must drop 1 to 2 degrees to enter deep sleep. That drop isn't optional. It's a strict physiological requirement for that stage. A warm room prevents your body from making that drop efficiently. Deep sleep gets delayed, becomes shallower, and produces smaller growth hormone pulses. Your fat-burning window runs at reduced capacity throughout the entire night. A study published in Diabetes measured exactly how much this matters. Sleeping in a room cooled to 66 degrees for 1 month changed everything. Brown fat activity increased by 42% from temperature alone. Insulin sensitivity improved. Resting metabolic rate rose. Nothing else changed. Same sleep duration, cooler environment, measurably more fat burned overnight. The fix involves keeping your bedroom between 65 and 68 degrees. No air conditioning available? A simple fan directed at your body works too. Lighter bedding and an open window can help accomplish the same effect. Now, finally, the habit that blocks fat burning at its hormonal source directly. Thing number 7 is stress and rumination happening right before sleep. You lie in bed while your mind keeps replaying the entire day, rehearsing tomorrow's meeting, revisiting an argument, worrying about something unresolved. You can't seem to stop it no matter how tired you feel. Here's what that mental loop is doing to your hormones right now. Rumination activates your HPA axis, the body's central stress response system. Cortisol rises in response to a perceived threat, even a purely mental one. Your nervous system genuinely cannot distinguish real danger from imagined worry. Both trigger the exact same cortisol response inside your body. Elevated cortisol at sleep onset directly suppresses growth hormone secretion again. Cortisol and growth hormone behave as biological opposites within your body. When one rises sharply, the other reliably falls in response. Rumination at bedtime blunts your very first, largest fat-burning pulse instantly. A study in psychoneuroendocrinology confirmed cognitive arousal elevates overnight cortisol measurably. Growth hormone secretion dropped significantly whenever racing thoughts persisted before sleep. The fix involves interrupting that mental loop with a specific, simple practice. Spend 5 minutes writing tomorrow's priorities down before climbing into bed.
Your brain stops actively holding those tasks once they're externalized on paper. Rumination decreases, cortisol begins falling, and the overnight cascade starts properly. Add 5 minutes of slow breathing once you're actually lying down. 4 seconds in through your nose, 6 seconds slowly out again. This activates your vagus nerve and lowers cortisol within just minutes. Your nervous system receives a genuine signal that it's finally safe to rest. Let's bring all 7 of these together in one simple summary. Late dinners keep insulin elevated, blocking growth hormone from releasing at all. Evening alcohol suppresses fat oxidation by up to 73% overnight. Short sleep eliminates growth hormone pulses and increases next-day hunger simultaneously. Post-dinner snacking resets the insulin clock, delaying fat burning by hours. Screen use delays melatonin, compressing your entire overnight hormonal window. Warm bedrooms prevent the temperature drop deep sleep absolutely requires. Bedtime rumination raises cortisol exactly when it needs to be lowest. 7 habits, 1 shared outcome. A fat-burning program interrupted every night. None of these habits feel dangerous, harmful, or even worth questioning, yet together they add up to a metabolism perpetually working against itself. Here's what matters most before you close this and move on. Your body isn't broken, and your metabolism hasn't turned against you. Every single night it attempts to run the same program it's always run. Growth hormone pulling fat from your organs, cortisol staying low, insulin falling. All automatic, all requiring absolutely nothing from you except one thing: